Who's ready for a shower? It's NWA Power. The show starts out at some place known as the Power Station offices. Oh, come on, NWA. Everybody and their cat knows that they can't afford an office, let alone offices, plural. WCW jobber from the year 1990, Tennessee P, gives his roster a lecture about how he has taken over from Billy Corgan as the NWA president. Apparently, Bold Boy's too busy nowadays. Somebody tell me, why is the fish-faced lawyer back? He has zero reason to be in there. It's not like he has a part to play in this segment. The roster are a mixture of happy and depressed. I guess, based on their reactions, it's how we're supposed to know who's face and who's heel. Wow, we've actually got an in-ring promo here. We don't see that very often. It feels like it's been months. It's Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor, the Southern Six, who hit you with bricks. And they boast about all their gold, which they never ever defend. Alex Taylor brings out their leader, the new World Heavyweight Champion, the Thrillbilly who thrills your girl with his willy, Silas Mason. He's gonna kick your face in. Thanks to the Shove It Squad for officially voting on his new catchphrase, by the way. Of course, the dirty one dominated the poll with a 50% victory. I see some people in the comments don't like this guy. I'm not really sure why. He looks quite unique to me and he cuts a great promo. What isn't to like? I don't get it. A BBW asked Mason about how successful this group have become. Mason talks about Terry Funk, Steamboat and Ric Flair. He says all of them are dead now and they're gone, and they're looking up from hell right now thanking him for carrying on the NWA legacy. He is apparently the 60th man to ever carry this belt, and the number will never change because he will be the champion forever. You know, Thrillbilly Silas Mason does realise that Flair and Steamboat are still alive, right? That aside, great promo.
Terry Funk, Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, each and every single one of them dead and gone. And if we're being honest, they're looking up from hell right now and saying, thank you, Thrillbilly. Thank you for carrying on the legacy. Thank you for being better than us in every single way.
Tan Latimer, the former champion, wades out. Hilariously, he will get to do an in-ring promo, something he only ever did once as the actual champion. NWA did his title reign so dirty, man. Bram admits that he lost their match fair and square. He calls him brother and offers him congratulations. Thrillbilly responds calling the crowd turds and says Bram isn't going to fool him. He knows that Bram wants to be able to call himself a man again by getting another title shot. This brings out Chickenpox and Murdoch. This feels different to any NWA show I've watched all year. Murdoch reveals that he is a two-time heavyweight champion and he beat the biggest wrestler ever, Tyrus. I mean, to be fair, we should all be thanking him for doing that. Murdoch says he never got a rematch when he lost his belt and therefore Bram shouldn't automatically get one either. Knox is injured, so Murdoch hasn't got anything better to do. Murdoch challenges Bram to a #1 contendership match. Bram has never been able to beat Murdoch. Mason is putting funny faces in the background. Somewhere else, Big Strong Mims looks different. He cuts a promo about how the Pope is a dickhead. The Pope has made the last mistake of his life because he will end him. Well, I was wrong earlier because the first match of the night is for the junior heavyweight title. Too cold for mold, Alex Taylor takes on Damien. Don't look at his Fenrir. Damien starts out dominating and he seems to have the power and the athleticism edge. He starts throwing Taylor and he hits a Japanese arm drag and a normal one too. On commentary, they say that Alex Taylor might be hungover due to celebrating for too long with Hillbilly. Taylor throws him down. Wow, look at this dude in the crowd. Really creative sign, dude. What are you, self-projecting? Fenrir dodges Taylor in the corner and does a backflip and a Cockney heel kick variation. The dodges continue until Fenrir hits a dropkick and a kip up. Taylor stops him diving with a dropkick whilst he's on the apron. Nothing happens and Alex Taylor jumps him back in the ring. Taylor with a neck snapper now and he starts feeling himself. Check this out from the middle rope. Not sure what they were going for, a suplex or a DDT, but it doesn't look great either way. Fenrir is fired up now and he hits a big backbreaker without release and transitions it into a big side slam for a 2. He decides to head to the top now to try and hit the rear view, but he misses that and Taylor just picks him up straight away and hits the brown whistle for the 3. Markova brags about how she has finally become the women's champion. She says that we will all be sat at home excited whenever she's on the screen. Elsewhere, in a bin, the smaller Slimeball is upset that they weren't invited to the show tonight. They reach the conclusion that Silas Mason is scared of how awesome that they are. The larger Slimeball is having confidence issues and he says they might not be dope. The little one reassures him that they are the slimiest and grimiest guys ever and they phlegm in their hands and rub it together with happiness. A random tag team match will be up next. A man simply known as Frank, who is of course the former Murphy from TNA from Gunner and Murphy fame, and his partner is Zion, and they will face the nerd Tyler Franks and a man with a Roman gladiator gimmick. Basically, Franks and the Italian gladiator struggle with the masked moron. And that's only the masked moron, the big man Frank has not even got involved. Franks is scared of Frank, and Zion smashes him in the back with a plank. Randomly, Frank then chokeslams Franks on the apron. God damn it. Well, that nerd's dead now. The masked man is a moron as he doesn't make a pin and instead hits a fist drop. The production team decide to show a replay of the fist drop, not the chokeslam. Tyler Franks can't make a comeback. The big man Frank smashes him in the corner of a clothesline. Frank is a complete moron though, and he allows the nerd to crawl through his leg and tag out. What a dumbass. The Italian stallion doesn't do much better and he's booted down. Frank hits a big choke bomb for the 3. This new tag team could be a force to be reckoned with in the future. They are Nightmare Sin, but perhaps Frank and Frank should have been put together instead. Elsewhere, Carson Drake and Damien Sandow are insulting Drake's cousin Lockjaw. They're trying to figure out why he's so weird. Carson thinks it's because Lockjaw doesn't laugh, so he tries to coach him on how to laugh. This is really funny and stupid. He starts telling him jokes. Why did the golfer bring an extra pair of socks? In case he got a hole in one. They get frustrated that he won't show any emotion and they abandon him. Damien Sandow teleports out to the ring now with Perk Slade. Sandow seems to be managing lots of wrestlers at this point. Sandow has vowed to lead this guy to some gold. Perk Slade is taking on Kenny O'Crapper. Surprisingly, he gets a very loud babyface reaction. Never heard the crowd react to O'Crapper like this before. Perhaps they are proud of him for standing up to AEW. Anyway, I love how Perk Slade has Fear the Gear written on his singlet. This match will apparently be for the TV title. Not used to seeing so many title defences on Powerr. Slade tries to out-wrestle O'Crapper in the early going, who changes it up and hits a dropkick and a knee strike in the corner. Nice butterfly suplex from O'Crapper now. Slade is really struggling here. I have never heard the crowd react like this to Kenny O'Crapper. Is this crowd planted? He misses a knee strike though, and Slade throws him with a German suplex for a 2 count. Now the bean kicks in. Do the ankle lock, you dumbass. No, instead he randomly hits a power slam for a 2. That isn't a signature move from either of your heroes. Perk Slade pulls his straps back up so he can just pop a perk once more. Still no ankle lock, instead he misses an attack in the corner. Kenny O'Crapper looks like his leg holders are on the verge of collapse. Wow, he tries to hit the best moonsault ever, but he misses that. We get into a strike-off now, which O'Crapper wins with a super kick. He tries a Texas Cloverleaf with Damien Sandow climbing onto the ring apron causing a distraction. Finally, Slade puts on the ankle lock. Damien Sandow pulls the ropes out of O'Crapper's reach, which causes the referee to throw the match out. Well, I guess the master of the perk pop is going to have to wait a bit longer for gold. He's a bad loser too, and he jumps O'Crapper after the bell. He fights the bad guys away, vaguely swinging his belt around in the air. No peanut gallery tonight, which was a strange one. Apparently, he is now 2 victories away from a world title shot. Don't do it, NWA. Don't do it. That's all I've got to say for now. More highlights from the fake offices. Doesn't even look like an office anyway. Wrestlers have their heads in their hands and others are drifting off to sleep. Tennessee P will take questions from the audience. The dad of the Paige sisters is of course here and he flips out that he's not in charge. Why is this feud continuing? The Country Boys won the feud. Please end this. The lawyer suddenly stands up and people from the crowd say, "Who is this guy? I have never seen him before." For fuck's sake, NWA, you're doing it again. He has had multiple segments on this TV show in the last few months. Several of them involving people in this very room. He reveals that Tennessee P is completely allowed to take over the NWA. He sits down. No mention of the crap about the reading of the will. Tennessee says he will get some of his guys to have matches against the Paige family. We've already done this. Can we please stop? This feud is over. Nobody on planet Earth wants to see the Paige dad having another wrestling match. Markova says she is Billy Corgan's personal friend. Yeah, I bet you are. And she doesn't agree that he can just take his job away. Silas Mason, for some reason, goes into comedy mode with a "They took our jobs" promo.
And this is exactly like in 1991, bombing the Parliament building. You're creating a state of exception so you can steal all of our rights to exploit our surplus labor.
I guess we just can't take the trailer out of you, can we?
They get into a shout-off, ending with Tennessee setting up some sort of mystery world title match.
Never mind that shit. Here comes
Mondo!
Elsewhere, in an alleyway around the corner from the same location that they've been filming all of their skits at for the past few shows, is the one-man Roid Rage, the master of the gut check, and the leader of the PBWs, that's Bold Boys Wrestling. It's Mike freaking Mondo.
7 foot tall. Check. I, Mondo. 7,000 pounds of heart.
He's facing the Wall Brother, but not yet. The Colons will instead face off against the fake Spartans who have all the gold now. This one starts out with a Colon missing a half-hearted flying smack on Kratos smashes him down. The Spartan dudes hit a double barge down and smashes and knees. You know, someone pointed out to me a few weeks back, but 2 guys doing a Spartans gimmick, it's like 2 decades too late. It's like if the Hawk started doing a Dexter's Laboratory gimmick in 2025, you'd think I'd all gone completely insane. What, no cutaway gag? What do you think this is, fucking Family Guy? We don't have the budget for that, that's why we're watching NWA. Anyway, the Colognes start making a comeback, smashing down on top of Big Kratos. He makes a comeback of a big suplex, great Neptune, but it's just a 2. A Cologne drop kicks him in the knee and they swing the match back in their favour. A Colon thinks he has it won with a net breaker, but of course he hasn't got it won. Kratos comes back with a big snap slam and he tags out. Odinson hits the reverse back elbow and he keeps shoving it to the Colons. He slams one Colon and then does an airplane spin slam to the other on top of the first one. Both Spartans try more airplane spins, but the Colons grab their eyelashes. They try double backstabbers, but the Spartans cuddle each other and the moves fail. Kratos suddenly decides to hit the coolest move of his career. He launches a Colon through the air, catches him and hits a big catatonic slam. The Spartans win the match with immortality. Love the finish, to be fair. Let's move on to our second Shove It show. We start this show with Kenzie and Kylie Paige. This match will be for the vacant women's tag belts. Why are the women's tag belts vacant, I hear you say? Well, basically, the champions were TV's most attractive, but Valentina Rossi was so disgusted by the storylines that her partner Tiffany Nieves was doing, she decided to leave this company. Valentina has a shot at the WWE, I think. The Paige sisters will be taking on the new version of TVMA, Tiffany Nieves and Greta Thunberg. The commentary team say that Valentina Rossi is stuck in Japan and can't defend the titles, so they were forced to vacate them. Can I ask you guys something? I keep seeing comments saying WWE would never hire Tiffany Nieves due to how she looks. I don't understand how anybody could think this woman looks bad. Are people blind? Or am I insane? To me, she looks like a star all day and night, especially at night to the Hawk. And now she's doing this whole thing with this giant bodyguard. Greta Thunberg is officially the biggest women's wrestler after that one chick that WWE and TNA had that I made that video about. She is 6'6", so that's pretty cool get for the NWA. No idea if she can wrestle though. Tiffany tries to taunt the crowd and gets thrown off the ropes. She dumps in her thong with fear and rolls away. She returns to the ring but continues to lose. More time is wasted dumping on the outside. She eventually gets sent into the 2-count roll-up and here comes the younger Paige sister. The Paiges hit the Page Turner, but their double team isn't enough to get the JOB done. Kylie misses an ass smash on the ropes, but Nieves is a dumbass and still doesn't make the tag and gets her head booted off. Kylie head scissors her onto the ropes and squashes her too. Nieves goes on to block a Shining Wizard, but still can't land a move. Now she tries to make the tag, but can't, and Kenzie hits a super kick and the Pages do more knee-related offense. I have no idea how Tiffany is still alive in this match, she's looking like Slapnuts in his peak. Suddenly, the Page sisters collide, and the tag is made to Greta Thunberg. The crowd groan with anger. She instantly chokeslams Kenzie Paige. Kylie sneaks up behind her with a chair and smashes Greta with the chair shot, but it has little to no effect. The referee throws the match out eventually. Greta hits another chokeslam, the Greta effect. The Page sisters have been destroyed by 2 moves. So I guess nobody wins the tag belts? I don't know, it wasn't clear if the Page sisters won the vacant belts by DQ. The slime balls are in an alleyway. The bigger slime ball is being a weirdo. The smaller slime ball sprays him with water. He's still having an identity crisis. They say that they're going to throw their own party due to the fact that they haven't been invited to the NWA. These guys have been missing from the show lately. Elsewhere, EC3 reminds us that he still exists. He says he has found the greatest potential wrestlers and Pretty Boy Smooth embodies that fact. They remind us that their team lost to Damien Sandow recently, so what potential do they really have? Pretty Boy Smooth says they are coming back for Sandow. Not sure if they will, because EC3 has just had a big operation, so speedy recovery for Ethan. Up next is the Wall Brother. No, it's not the WCW wrestler. This guy is somehow big and small at the same time. He earned this national heavyweight title shot against Mondo by winning a battle royal. How many wrestlers had a better 2025 than Mike Mondo? This guy should serve as motivation for anybody who reaches a certain age and starts to slack off at life. It's like, no motherfucker, age is just a number. Of course, him being managed by Damien Sandow is the only low point, but we'll try to pretend that he doesn't exist for the purposes of this video. Mondo wants a test of strength and then he starts swearing and raging at the crowd. Hilarious size difference here. Mondo is as wide as the Wall is tall. Maybe they should swap names. The Wall launches him into the corner but misses his attack. The intensity keeps growing here. Mondo runs into a sidewalk slam for a 2 count. The Wall keeps going, throwing Mondo face first into the mat. Now he wipes him out with authority. This is fun so far. Mondo grabs an eyelash to stop the offense, and Sandow trips up the Wall and Mondo chops down the Wall. Nice German suplex from Mike Mondo, and he screams with rage into the camera. Mondo climbs to the top and he flies with the Schrader special. The Wall kicks out. Mondo pants and gasps with rage as he continues to beat down the Wall in his foundations. The Wall reverses a spinning toe hold. He also reverses a Boston Crab. The Wall is finally erect. He can't do anything interesting though. Mondo hits him with a jawbreaker and then he powers the Wall up and hits the gut check time for the 3. The match started off well, but I think it struggled as it progressed. Oh no, Tiffany Nieves and her stupid doctor will cut a promo. Look how they've dressed him up in a more laid back style. For some reason, she thanks the doctor for all her recent progress. She's wrestled less matches than ever since he's been involved. She lost her last match, and she's now 1 belt down since teaming up with him. He says this is definitely working. It looks like they found his vest in a skip behind Goodwill. She stares into his eyes eagerly as he says this is just the beginning. She proclaims he's making her feel like a queen. Where is this going? Who knows? Now, who remembers that Colby Corino had to undergo his neck surgery and he's off the show? I miss Colby on this show. He says that he's still in a lot of pain and he was told his career is over. However, he is making great progress. He doesn't really know what the future holds. But you know, someone like Colby, I wouldn't hold it against him. I think he can make a comeback. Markova and Silas Mason are dragged into Tennessee P's office. Gotta love the cheap microwave in the shot. He tells Markova she will be facing Max the Impaler and he expects her to bring the ratings. She says that she's wrestled Max loads of times and doesn't sweat it. She says it'll be a piece of piss for her. He reiterates that he demands ratings. She looks confused. Is he trying to ask her to wrestle like a 90s diva or something? She really can't remove many more items of clothing, can she? He tells Mason he's going to be facing JAC. Well, I have no idea who JAC is, but Mason says he's Silas Mason and he'll kick his face in. Mason threatens the fish-face lawyer and the 2 goofball sons. He says Billy Corgan is coming back to the NWA soon and he will be in trouble. Oh, fantastic, a power struggle storyline. I can't wait for the Lethal Lockdown match for control of this company. Everybody stares for an awkward amount of time and the segment just ends. What the fuck were they looking at? Alex Miserable cuts a promo saying that the devil has been talking to him and telling him to rip people's eyeballs out. Up next, it's the Lost. I wish they'd get lost. It's another skit with the Drake cousins now and Damien Sandow. Drake tries to make him dance. Lockjaw just stares gormlessly into space and sort of tries to move his shoulders. This makes Carson very mad, who says he's only in this company so that he can do his auntie a favour. Poor guy, you gotta feel sorry for him. Random tag match up next. The Miserable will take on the proud member of the BBW, Slex. He is Australia's greatest ever wrestler and his partner Duke Handsome. You know, from Chase U and NXT. Well, that's pretty random. The commentary team desperately tried to tell us that Slex is old and had his shoulder broken recently. Wow, sounds like a wrestler to really get behind. His knickers say business is booming. Hope he's not talking about the National Wrestling Alliance. Slex looks like Mike Mondo shrunk in the wash. Slex comes close to winning. Alex Miserable turns the match around before he's almost beaten too. Poor Alex Miserable, he's trying desperately with this gimmick, but the NWA just don't give him any time to get anything over. Slex slams his face into the corner of Miserable, continuing to smash his own face into the turnbuckle, that classic old spot. It doesn't help him. Here comes the Duke. Duke catches Miserable and hits him with a jumping side slam. The new commentator catchphrase is Great Galaxies. Miserable is hit with a double team. The Miserable come back and they dominate Crocodile Dundee for ages. The Lost remind me of a young Hardy Boys, minus the exciting offense. The Duke gets a hot tag and nails a big spinning side slam for a 2. They then botch an Irish whip. How long has this guy been a wrestler for? Australia's greatest athlete then hits a springboard kick and a dive out of the ring. This wakes the crowd up a bit. Now he hits the wind-up Wallaby Slam, but he doesn't make the pin, instead he tags the Duke. Duke stacks him on his shoulders and they want a double team, but it's broken up, and Lev does a victory roll for the 3. This was okay, but none of these are exactly established characters on the show, so it kind of kills your enjoyment. The Thrillbilly threatens Tennessee P. He calls him a Confederate con artist. He threatens to take his girl and says he's going to thrill his filly with his Oh wow. The lawyer is asked about the inheritance storyline. So the Hawk was wrong. No, you're not going to do this, NWA. You haven't mentioned this storyline for 2 months. You can't just drop a storyline and pick it back up whenever you want. He says that Markova has been eliminated. That's all we learn. We still don't learn what this is all about. We still don't learn why it's taking 2 months to progress. The fish-faced lawyer tells Tennessee P that he currently has control of the company. No shit, Sherlock. The lawyer says Corgan will probably sue him for around $100 million. Yeah, just casually throwing that out there, $100 million. The lawyer also says Mr. Corgan might allow Tennessee to stay in control. Okay, so what I expect is somehow the lawyer is going to give Tennessee the money from the aborted storyline, and that will somehow allow him to stay in control of this company. Well, that isn't a very interesting conclusion to that storyline if that's where we're heading. Here comes Silas Mason. It turns out the challenger for the world title, JAC, is basically a scruffier version of Hillbilly Mason. He is a big boy, but the way they talked about him, it was like he was somebody famous. I was supposed to recognise him. Not sure what he did to earn a world title match. He back suplexes Mason and also hits a big overhead suplex for a 1 count. Mason is angered. He grits his teeth and fills his nappy of rage. He smashes JEC down and starts throwing fists back and forth. He hits a back body drop and a whole bunch of splashes. The thrill ride ends the match in less than 2 minutes. A BBW rushes the ring to ask him who his next challenger will be. Mason calls his opponent a piece of trash and says he doesn't care who he faces next because nobody on this planet can beat him. He is the biggest man on this planet and his challenger will be the smallest man dead. He is Silas Mason and he'll kick your face in. And in just one show, Silas Mason is already a better world champion than Bram ever was. Why did they do Bram so dirty? Mason has been all over this show just like a world champion should be. Let's catch our third and final show. Alright, we start with the Rewind Society. I like these guys. I remember them from last time. They will be having a tag team match against the Drake Cousins. Look at that sign there. This one should be an entertaining match. Cousin Lockjaw doesn't like the dancing gimmick and he bashes the poor jobber down. Carson asks for the tag. These two have cohesion so far. Carson actually does worse than his gormless cousin. He's smashed with a jawbreaker. A chase scene begins with Lockjaw getting a blind tag and he hits the jobber with a German suplex. Lockjaw keeps spearing the jobber in the corner until a block happens and a tag is made. Sammy Rewind does a split but can't hit kicks and Lockjaw spears him down. Carson asks for another tag. His finish is a sleeper hold which he calls the Capital Pains tags. What a lovely group of 3 friends we have here. If Lockjaw is as out of it as they say he is, why would he care to have a spray tan? It doesn't make sense for his character. This boy is as orange as a Satsuma. Carson Drake has the mic, he heals on the crowd, then he switches attention to Colby Corino. He takes credit for Colby breaking his neck. That isn't actually true, but I've got no problem with the NWA creating an angle out of it. But they may end up getting egg on their faces if Colby doesn't make a successful return. Well, speaking of return, he is actually here tonight. He has a shovel. Colby thanks the fans for his support. He says when he was in hospital and he looked at his phone and saw the fans actually cared about him, he was surprised. He is on the verge of tears as he talks about how he thinks he might be a failure. It's very emotional stuff, but he does go on for a bit of a long time. Ultimately, he says he's going to come back bigger, stronger and smarter than ever before, and he will break Carson's neck and fulfill his destiny. His destiny is to capture the world title. Alright Raisin, pipe down. The fake Spartans are here. Kratos really reminds me of Conad with these glasses. He wants better tag team competition. Oh no, the Paige family dad is here to tell us how much he hates Tennessee P. End this storyline, I'm begging you, it's killing the Hawk. As one of the country folk gives him a verbal smackdown, he sits there imagining that he's playing Call of Duty. Better than playing at wrestling like he does every week. Carson doesn't understand why he's in this segment. Apparently it's just to tell him that he will be facing the Holy Grail soon, aka the Massive Fell. The Slime Balls will also be getting a United States tag team match. How many damn titles are in this company? That leads to the dork Hunter Drake having a match. This guy is like Billy Kidman of the NWA. He's going to go up against this country boy KC Kazana. This was the first time in an entire year that I've finally made aware of what his name is. They will be fighting because 2 Randy Indie promotions are feuding and they are representing their promotions. Nobody cares about this, we just want to know if Hunter has successfully pulled both the Paige sisters yet. We, the Shove It Squad, demand answers. Get the fish-faced lawyer around that lot. The big country boy Kazana immediately rushes him. Hunter Inzaguri kicks him away and then springs off the ropes into a Hurricanrana and another jump off the ropes into a thrust kick. He tries to fire up, but hilariously, his handspring is just swatted away. KC Kazana throws Hunter from the ring. He gets a chair but misses his shot. Hunter is still wasting time, so Kazana throws the chair into his face. Nothing's happening. I think that guy in the crowd spelt GIMP wrong. Maybe he's trying to be edgy. The chair beating continues. Who is ready for the ugliest strut in wrestling history? But this time it's different because he does it off a chair. That gets him a 2 count. Drake is still losing as he's smashed with a big backbreaker. Out of nowhere, Drake does manage to hit a handspring into a cutter, which the commentary team call the Kenzie cutter. Hilarious. Drake does a crazy wacky dance and a flip dive out of the ring, but he completely misses it and it looks more like he got powerbombed. He's fine and he goes to the crowd for approval. Drake brings his opponent back to the ring, almost missing a standing shooting star. Kidman wouldn't have missed it. Well, maybe he would have. He isn't deterred and heads to the top but misses a double stomp and runs straight into a knee strike. It's not over, but it almost is. The cowboy Kazana is about to finish him off with a chair powerbomb, but Kenzie Paige rushes the ring and pulls her boyfriend's head into the cowboy's nutsack. Whoever dressed her like that, she looks like a crackhead. I sometimes wonder if people forget that cameras are rolling. You cannot dress one of your biggest stars in the company like she went to Primark for her clothing. Drake heads to the top and hits a slightly off balance 450 for the win. Drake is not happy that he needed help from his girlfriend. Please can we give this guy both Paige sisters, it would make him so much more popular with the crowd. Markova talks about how much pride she has. She says she is the crush and she will make her first title defense next. You know, recently I had a comment asking how the video game shop is a recurring filming location for the NWA despite them moving around the country. Well, I don't know how to answer that, but apparently they are able to take the shop with them wherever they go, along with the pigeon-faced shopkeeper and his steroids. Yep, everybody's favourite NPC is back. He's actually had a haircut too. Silas Mason asked him for advice on how he can win his next title match, and a bunch of other strange crazy stuff that went over my head. The slime balls arrive at the video game shop, because every wrestler on this roster comes here at least once a day. They congratulate Thrillbilly, but they advise him not to buy Call of Duty. They discuss Call of Duty for a bit.
I got a bronze cluster in Call of Duty, believe it or not.
No. Okay.
Going
Well,
on with this gold
how
belt.
about in Super Booger Bros 2?
Super Booger Bros 2?
Yep.
The shopkeeper randomly interrupts their conversation, advising the slime balls that they will be facing the Southern Six soon. He tells them they must try their hardest to win this match. Who the fuck is this guy and why is he always on the show? Suddenly, the vampire chick returns to the NWA. I didn't expect her to hang around here much longer because she's been a part of that group doing some WWE training lately. But I beg you, NWA, if you can sign this girl exclusively, do it. She is your best bet. Apparently she's taken the space of Max the Impaler and she will now be challenging for the women's title. The champion is of course Markova. Well, these two are like two complete opposite characters. Here we go then. The vampire slaps Markova, that fires her up. Natalia smashes her with a bulldog out of the corner. She dances for the crowd for a bit into a leg drop for a 1 count. She misses her finisher and the vampire flies out of the ring. She soon comes back and pulls Markova's legs out. It doesn't help and Markova arm drags her down and smacks her in the fangs. The vampire comes back with a big kick. The slime balls interrupt this match, saying they're going to kill the Southern Six next week. For some reason, Kerry Morton sounds like he's on the verge of tears as he tells them to get the hell out of here. Back at the ring, and it's Markova who's flapping around as the Bat has her number. She tries the back submission, but Markova eventually fights up. The Bat hits a short winged clothesline and a pump handle powerbomb. Wow, just the 2. Natalia finally makes a comeback for strike combination and a jazz stinger which sends the Bat fang first into the mat. Markova tries to DDT her, but that is countered. The Bat now pulls Markova off the top, which doesn't look great, and they all look confused. There it is, the pain in your neck. No, it's just a 2. Nobody ever kicks out of that one. Markova is incredible, man. Markova blocks her charge and throws her into the corner. There's the spin kick, and that'll be the finish. Well, you know what, my little friends? Markova wins the match without batting an eyelid. And that joke has 2 meanings. Unfortunately, Markova is jumped by Big Beauty Judy. She is aligned with the country people. Her posterior isn't even that big. The vampire joins in the beatdown. The beatdown just sort of continues because there's nobody coming to her rescue as there's no more women on the roster. Big Beauty Judy hits the jackhammer and it's over. What any of this means, I have no idea. Well, that might be a fill of NWA Powerrr for December and the year 2025. I guess we'll be back again next year. Unless I decide to release a video with just 1 or 2 episodes. Who knows? I know. It's really disappointing. Try not to cry into your nappies too hard. But let me just close out the year of Powerrr with this message. I never expected these reviews to go so well. The fact that there is actually a captive audience for me to review NWA Powerrr. You can say it's because I make it entertaining, but I don't think it's completely fair on the wrestlers to say that. So I'd like to end this year on a positive note. Did the Hawk give Carson Drake that beautiful smile? Did he make the slime ball so slimy and disgusting? Did the Hawk decide to push the Confederate coochie kicker? Did the Hawk come up with a single storyline that we've watched this year on Powerr? The answer to all of those questions is no, and if these guys weren't so good at what they do, I'd have nothing to review. So I'm going to end the year with some praise from one of my favourite films, which coincidentally I gave to your girl last Friday night. That'll do, pig. That'll do.